All right. I'm out of here, man. I gotta be back in a few hours for my shift. Why, if I don't see you? I'm really doing this still.
I don't think I can remember the last time you took 3 days off in a row.
I've taken vacation before.
Name the last one.
Point taken.
It's gonna be a lot of time to self-reflect. Sure you can handle that? Okay. You just make sure you come back. And if it gets dark, you call me. You listening?
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
Today we are covering HBO Max's hit show, The Pitt, Season 2, Episode 9, titled 3 p.m. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, don't want to be spoiled, come back and check us out once you're done.
Before we get into episode 9, we just found some feedback that we got on our episode 2 coverage. Virginia Isabel via Spotify says, I love Langdon. I think it's amazing how well he's done in a very difficult situation. I feel that Robbie is being very dismissive and unkind.
Well, hopefully by now, Virginia, you are caught up and have heard all of our back and forth thoughts on that. And so sorry that I'm just now getting to this. My apologies for the delay, but thank you so much for leaving the feedback, and please keep listening, and we'd love to hear more from you on the season. And on our episode 7 coverage via our What's On Tonight email, Lauren Simmons wrote, and Lauren, my apologies again for not posting this last week.
Hey, man, look, it's hard. I don't know if anybody ever goes and tries to look at the comment section on most of the social media pages. Sometimes it's hard to find the comments, so it's not from neglect.
Yeah, there's so many different places that we get feedback from.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot.
I sometimes forget that we got something and post it. But anyway, thank you so much, Lauren. And here's what she had to say. Thank you for the podcast. It's great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the focus on the sexual assault patient and the discussion of SANES. There was a lot going on in this episode. She put in parentheses, well, when isn't there? Facts. Including the continuation of Harlow, the deaf patient's inability to be seen because of lack of an interpreter and a broken VRI, and Dr. Santos walking away when the interpreter finally arrives. If not already planned, please consider including a discussion about this. We know her symptoms, but like everyone else, she's been there forever and hasn't seen a doctor. Another difficult and regular barrier to healthcare. Thanks. She signs off, Lauren Simmons, and I hope I'm saying your last name right, MSW, and also a fan. Thank you so much, Lauren. And we did have a lot of discussions about Harlow and how she was treated. So let us know if you've had a chance to catch up and what you thought about that.
I'm kind of sad that she got in and out so quickly. Like, I didn't want anything dire to happen to her, but I'm also kind of bummed that she's not in the ER anymore. I was hoping she was going to be on longer this season. She was interesting. And that was an interesting storyline.
Yeah, it's great to see that being talked about.
Yeah, and the actress was great. Like, she was so funny. Her face, she reminded me, remember a couple weeks ago when I went to go see that play with my mom, Fat Ham, which was great. Half of my enjoyment of it was that they had interpreters, and they were so quick and as nuanced as the performance of the thing. Half the time I couldn't even pay attention to the actors because I was watching those ladies. It was a treat.
Yeah, they do a great job. It's really impressive.
Yeah. I was like, you ever watch the rap videos?
I love it. It's so great.
That is, if anybody out there is never like on TikTok or whatever, or Instagram, and you just need something that's purely just fun, look up like the interpreters at rap concerts. It's awesome. Some feedback from our episode 8 coverage from Linda Morrison.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Great job, ladies. Your guest was great, too. She was.
We love Kelsey.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, she's a sweetie. I'll try to send my thoughts on tonight's episode. I don't think I can do Bebagenda, but I might try. And then it's like a little anxious emoji. Linda, I'm sure you're going to sound awesome.
Yeah, we didn't get anything from her yet, but Linda, please please do send us your Baby Jane Doe. All listeners, send us your Baby Jane. We will play them. We would love to have just a feedback of just people saying Baby Jane Doe.
Wouldn't it be great to have our outro that 1 week just be every listener send us like a Baby Jane Doe?
Yes.
Oh man, I wonder if we could talk Gavin into making us a beat for it.
Oh my gosh. I'll reach out to him and ask if he has time.
Oh God, that would be funny. Okay.
Well, thank you all so much for writing in. And now on to episode 9. This episode was written by Cynthia Edwarka and directed by Sean Haddisy. I did not know that when I went into the episode. So when his name popped up at the end credits, I was like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah, I saw it in one of the interviews or something through social media. And I was like, yeah, good for Abbott.
He did a great job too.
He really did. This was a very good episode. All right, the synopsis. Santos and Robbie treat a 12-year-old who lost 2 fingers in a firecracker accident, whose parents were deported to Haiti. Javadi nearly causes a fatality via a misdiagnosis. Mel struggles with anxiety ahead of her malpractice deposition, and her sister Becca arrives with abdominal pain. McKay and Whitaker treat a patient with polycystic ovary syndrome. McKay has a tender moment with terminal cancer patient Roxy. Yeah. Abbott returns with Howard. What called that? Oh, no, they were always coming back, weren't they?
We had hoped they were. We weren't sure, but now I'm glad that he is back.
Me too. Abbott returns with Howard, whose perforated diverticular abscess requires high-risk surgery to save his life. Robbie lets Whitaker house sit for him while he's on his sabbatical. Dana calls in a favor from Monica frickin' Peters. Oh, I love her.
Mm-hmm.
A retired clerk who arrives to help manage the hospital's mounting paperwork. News breaks that a nearby water park slide collapse may send a mass casualty event to the already strained hospital. Ugh.
Da, da, da.
What a bummer, too.
Oh, 4th of July.
I try to think about their brainstorm for this season, and they're like, all right, 4th of July. What kind of really shitty things are we going to have people have? Okay, definitely somebody's getting their hand blown off. That's a given. But I feel like getting to the water slide thing, that took some real brainstorming.
There's another moment we'll get to when we get into our discussion that I wrote down in my notes. I wonder whose idea it was to make this a storyline.
Oh, I'm excited to hear what that's going to be.
I'm just very curious how that even came about. So, all right. Let's get into it. Let's start with what I'm calling continued chaos. We open with Robbie. He's addressing the concerns of everyone. It's like, if you have a question or concern, raise your hand. And when he looked at Ogilvy and told him to put his hand down, I was like, yes, Robbie, yes.
That was one of my favorite lines of the show. Now, we're probably going to start using Ogilvy, put your hand down, just like read the room, Gloria.
Yes, I love
Becky
that.
and I use this shorthand in our real life outside of this show.
Which literally happened the other night.
Yeah, if somebody's being really obtuse, we just say, read the room, Gloria, now. So Ogilvy, put your hand down is going to be the new shut the fuck up.
Yes. All right, so all the issues that we're seeing that were voiced. So medicine requests aren't reaching the pharmacy. And shout out to, we finally get her name, Dr. Nort, who is the clinical pharmacist. Glad that they're being showcased in these episodes. The fax machine is down, which I had all kinds of laughs about. There's obviously some patient chart confusion, and CT results are not making it.
I'm surprised anything is getting done in there.
I was like, that's it? That's really all that y'all are stressing about?
It's just crazy to me. Again, we've covered this last episode. They gave them like 15 seconds to process the new normal. And
right.
I got to tell you, I probably would have just laid down my stethoscope and walked out.
Left. Yeah, you and I both would have been like, hey, there's a bar across the street.
Right. This is I'm done here. There's no moss here. So I was really kind of surprised that they weren't having bigger problems than although as it turns out later on, there was one pretty big one.
Yeah. Well, Dana suggests to Robbie that they call in for extra help, and Robbie doesn't think she can find anyone. And I love Dana's line, I know people, buddy, which is how Mandy and I act now that we've interviewed a few people at the show. We're like, we know people.
Yeah.
LOL.
We passed over the Dr. Al being unfazed. I love that. Like, that's just, it could have gone a couple of different ways. She could have, and we've talked about since she came into this season that we kind of thought that she was going to crumble because we didn't think she was going to be able to handle it when she had to go paperless. But then it got revealed that she worked with Doctors Without Borders and she was in at least one terrorist attack while she was there. So while I am now not shocked with what we know about her, that she was so unbothered, I thought it was a great callback to the character's history to have her just kind of like be able to stay calm in chaos, because God knows she has to have seen much worse.
Yeah, and that ER needs it. Right now, they need a calming presence. So I'm glad that
they need somebody who's not 15 seconds away from jumping off the top of the roof of the hospital.
I think everyone else in there is about ready to.
Yeah.
So this next note is just gum band twice. Like we've said many a time, we don't talk a lot about episodes before they air, but she texted me gum band, and I guess, were watching it maybe about. I think you maybe were about 10 minutes behind where I was.
Really? Oh, that worked out perfectly then.
Yeah. So when you said, I was like just smiling, and then we get it again later. So I just wanted to shout out to Linda for teaching us what gum band means. And we got to hear it in the episode.
It would have completely gone over our head. We would have never, I don't even think I would have even clocked it when she said it if Linda hadn't already given us the heads up that that's Pittsburghese.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda.
So Dana goes back to old school by getting runners to take orders to the places that they need to go, which is genius.
Did you laugh when they said runners?
I got triggered when they said runners. And the reason why, y'all, yes, I'm going to talk about waiting tables. On a busy night, during a rush, food sits in the window and people are stressed out. So you will hear whoever's working the expo, we need runners. And it's like, get in here and get your food or somebody else's food. And that's when it really got annoying, is when it wasn't your food and you've got like a table of 12 that just got sat, but you're like, oh, fine. And you go take other. Oh, it's just so stressful.
Oh, did you do that? Because what I did was go hide in the walk-in.
Oh, see? Yeah, I helped. I was like Girl Friday for everyone.
No, I'm kidding. I did. And it used to piss me off because it was pretty rare. I will say the norm was people taking off.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, I just remember.
No, girl, I love being a runner. I was very much who I am now when I was waiting tables. I was doing all the shit, but I was bitching about it the entire time. That was the worst part of waiting tables, was that you could bust your ass, but if everybody else wasn't pulling their weight.
And that's usually why they were yelling for runners.
Right.
What you just said made me think of that meme I posted the other day that said my mama didn't raise a quitter, but she did raise a complainer. So just know you're going to hear about it.
Yes, that was pretty much my waiting tables career in a nutshell. That's how I knew I had to get out, because I was like miserable. There was a lady that we worked with who was already like, I say she's old. She's probably 10 years younger than I am now, but much older than the rest of the staff. And she'd been there forever. And her name was Rosie. And she just complained constantly to the point that she was like a joke. And one day I'm walking around and I'm like, nobody got the bread out of the oven. There were no side plates. They didn't even put the bread in. Just everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. And I'm like, I just like bitched for 45 minutes. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I'm Rosie.
Yeah, this is not where I want to be. Yeah.
So anyway, I actually liked running. I know we need to move on from this because this isn't the Waiting Tables podcast, but I used to pick up running shifts as much as I can. You can make bank.
Yeah. If you got people's stuff out there and they didn't have to worry about it, the money would come for sure.
Yeah. And you had no side work.
Yeah. God, I hate side work. I don't know which I hated more, side work or silverware. Anyway, we'll have a Waiting Tables podcast. I'm so sorry, y'all. So Monica Peters shows up. She was badass bitch, Monica is what I'm calling her. She was the clerk before everything went digital. And I like how Dana said she retired. And she said, I didn't retire. I was laid off because of your fancy technology. And how's all that digital shit working out for you now? But you know who she reminded me of? Imagine setting up an office and you need somebody that you know can handle all of the personalities, everything that's going on. I am calling Monica Peters the Gene Lorton of the office environment.
Jean is great. And I think in the way that she was very with it, I could see that. I just think that they have I feel like Jean would be offended by Monica and Monica would roll her eyes at
I
Jean.
just mean the way she would show up at the office, get everyone in line, get all the paperwork straight, get everybody in the right direction, get everything planned. She was so good at that. That's what made me think that if you were in an emergency situation in an office environment and you had one phone number you could call.
You definitely wanted to call Jean.
That's where I got that parallel between the two.
No, I think you're right about that. They definitely have that in common. Oh, man, I love a good administrator. I know I've talked about this before. No one would have pegged 19-year-old Mandy as somebody who was going to spend their life doing administrative work.
I love it.
I love it. And it's because of women like Jean and Stephanie Newman and several other women that, like, they're the power behind the throne, man.
Mm-hmm.
They are what keeps all the balls spinning, and everybody leaves them alone because you need them very, very much. And I learned a powerful lesson from that very early on. If you're not looking to be the center of attention, you just want to be the one that does all of the paperwork and keeps the trains running on time. It's a very powerful position.
It's a great career. People,
it really is,
often talk about, well, what else do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I'm doing it. I am making good money.
You get to help people.
I get to help. I love the people I work with. It's just like, I'm good at it. I am really daggum good at it. So this is what I don't want to be responsible for people's, like, I don't want to be a manager ever. I want to just help them.
I don't like having to herd cats. And that's what seems like most management positions are. But anyway, back to Monica.
I wrote in my notes, she sent Beavis and Butthead off to go do stuff they actually know how to do. And then she just takes over.
Yeah, I told Becky I'm calling those two clerks, dude, where's my charts from now on? And they were definitely peak, dude, where's my charts in this episode. But man, I don't know how we're going to move past Monica. I love her so much. The person that she reminds me of is, I've told Becky before that when I moved to the new high school that I went to halfway through my senior year, I had like a 16 in geometry. And within a few weeks, the geometry teacher that I had, Miss Thompson, had me at an 84 because you were terrified to disappoint her. But then she did it in a way that she was so mean, but it was like in a way that was very motivating instead of tearing you down. And I struggled to try to explain that to Becky. She's Monica.
That makes sense.
Yes, she is mean and she says things that you wouldn't put up with from somebody else, but you know deep down
it's coming from a place of care.
Yes, and that she's got you and she's going to make you better at your job. That was Miss Thompson, and that is 100% who Monica reminded me of. Love her. I need her in every single episode going forward. Her and Dana just tag team. She could be Dana's bulldog.
I hope she stays at least through the analog emergency, which I feel like is going to last the remainder of the season. So, but when she called out dude for being on the bat phone for a personal call, and he's trying to look offended, like, I'm not doing that. And then he covers the phone. I'm going to need to call you back. Yep. So good.
Clocked it.
So good.
Yeah. So she's great. I'd already asked Becky, like, have we reached out to that actress? And her name was Rusty Schwimmer. And I learned when I was looking her up that she's best friends with Virginia Madsen.
She related to David Schwimmer?
I don't know. I didn't have time to look into that, but I'm going to. Anyway, we've reached out to her on Instagram. I hope she gets back to us.
So too. I'd love to hear what she pulled from to make that character as amazing as she is.
I bet she had a blast.
I can imagine. At the last note I have, I believe her name is pronounced Makeda, becomes a runner. And did you see her and security guard Mike? She gave him like a little flirty wave when she walked away after saying she would help out. And she gave him a little wave and he got a smile. Go back and watch.
Oh, he's a cutie. I'm
shipping those two.
Me too.
I'm walking away from this episode shipping quite a few couples. So be prepared.
I want him to have a bigger role. I hope he does.
Well, he might be getting a bigger role with Miss Makeda.
I know what you're saying.
Boom. All right. So out of the chaos and into more chaos, we move on to McKay. Wow. McKay got it this week. So we meet Amaya, who is suffering from polycystic ovarian syndrome. I have a friend who actually had a cyst rupture and had to have emergency surgery. It's very painful.
Very serious.
But I'm so glad. Thank you, writers. Cynthia Dwarka. I felt you in this story because we've talked about it early on when we were discussing my mom's diagnosis, but the trouble that women have getting doctors to listen to them, and especially people of color, I thought was so great. And the way she's talking, how she's been trying for years to get someone to listen to her. Somebody finally did, but she's obviously still having these problems. And I thought it was great when McKay was trying to, and I don't think McKay was doing it intentionally, like as a telling this lady she's wrong, but when she tries to talk about how it takes time to find the right diagnosis, and Amaya's like, no, y'all don't listen. I liked that she called both Whitaker and McKay out on that. Not that it was their fault. She's just now seeing them. But the reason I say that is because Whitaker, they left the room and McKay's like, okay, Whitaker, what do we do? And he's like, release her with naproxen, which is just now it's like a leave, I think is the lesser version of it, over the counter. And McKay is like, don't you think that's what every other doctor has done? So it was a quick conversation, but McKay got it. McKay got it quick. And she kept her. And because of that, they were actually able to hopefully save her ovary, get her to surgery in time so that everything would be okay. I liked that. And I like that Whitaker pointed out to Amaya that it was McKay who kept her here longer, so we were able to catch it. I just really like that whole thing.
Oh, yeah. I like because as you pointed out, women of color, women in general, our healthcare is so much more subpar than men. You learn that the older you get as a woman. It starts at puberty and then going all way into menopause. You would be just amazed at what they don't know about women's health. And then you add on the fact, if it is a woman of color, it is even more likely that they're going to experience a situation where their life is going to be in danger because they're not being listened to. I love this about McKay's character. She learns. Mm-hmm. We've talked about, like last week, we got into, we're going to get into here a little bit later about, we get corrections from people all the time about things that, because, when you run your mouth as much as we do, you're bound to say something incorrect at some point. It doesn't happen often because, we're pretty great, but every once in a while we'll make a mistake. I'm going to be very honest, and no one's going to be shocked when I say that my initial response whenever someone corrects me is to get defensive. Like my family, we look at argument as like a sport, and it's almost like it's second nature to me. I really have to make myself bite my tongue and listen. It's not a skill that is innate in me. It's something I'm working on because it's what I want from other people. And I think it's what we need if you're ever going to learn or grow in this world. But it's hard. Most people struggle with that. What I love about McKay is that she takes critique and filters it pretty quickly. She's completely open to the idea that she may be wrong and that she has things to learn from her patients. And so I love that she very quickly course corrected once Amaya called her out on the fact that she was being dismissive. And she took the lesson and was able to quickly impart that lesson to Whitaker. And I love that it came full circle. And we did have that moment where Amaya, who's the real hero in all of this, after everything she's struggled with, gets to have the experience of knowing that at least this one doctor listened to her.
Yep.
I got to feel like if that were a real person, that would be very healing.
For sure. I really, really liked that whole story. And again, kudos to the writers in this show for bringing out real life stuff that goes on, and they do it again later. So it's so amazing. So then McKay goes from that over to Roxy, and we finally get to see Roxy telling her husband the full truth about what she's feeling and how much pain she's in. And it made me sad. It was just, you could see her husband automatically just felt like shit. Like, how did I not see this? And also sad. She was trying to protect them by not telling them the severity of the situation or severity of how she was feeling instead of leaning on him. I felt both of their pain in that moment. And then you notice when her younger son just jumps into bed with her because she's protected them from so long by not saying, be careful, mommy hurts here, whatever. And she's just wincing from the pain. Another gutted me moment. And then when her older son, they're like, okay, what kind of ice cream are we going to have? And he immediately grabs mom's favorite. It was just like, it was so sweet, but also so sad to know that this family is about to lose their mom. And ugh.
Yeah, I know. I was hurting for you watching that whole thing. And I know it's really, really difficult to talk about that specific storyline. It's crazy that it happens to be in this season with everything that you're going through. And I knew that you could especially understand all of the emotions in that situation.
Especially when, they have that quiet moment, which I'm going to tip my hat to Sean Hattasey for the way he directed the scene of just the two of them. When everybody's gone and McKay just sits down and again, another beautiful thing about McKay, it's really, most of these doctors have it. They have the ability to really connect with their patients. And when all the chaos is going on, they don't step away from taking a second to sit down and listen to what their patients are thinking and feeling. Because McKay could have just stuck her head in. Can I get you anything? Roxy could have said no. McKay could have gone on, but she didn't. She sat with this woman. She, what is it Darnell says in the book? She gave this woman space. By this guy saying this is the Death Doula book I told y'all about a couple episodes ago. He's not talking about taking up space. He's talking about giving the person you're caring for space to be silent, to say what they need to say, any and all of those things. It's giving them space. And that's what McKay did there. And I thought it was beautiful. But I got Roxy's anger. There are 4 stages of grief, and I can only imagine finding out that you're terminally ill. You're mad. I've watched, my mom go through this. She is very much into anger right now. And it's, Roxy's mad at how her life turned out. Why did God give her this wonderful life only to take it away like it's a cruel joke? And I don't blame her for feeling that way. She's a good person and she has a beautiful life. She's a good mom. She's obviously a good wife. She is a good daughter. And it isn't fair. It isn't fair to watch people suffer and lose their lives, especially as young as she is. It definitely makes you question
your faith.
Yes, all of it. And I like that McKay, when she asked McKay if she believes in God, and McKay's answer was, I like the concept. I appreciate that McKay was honest at that point, because a lot of people, that's how a lot of people feel about spirituality and faith. They may not believe in God, but they do like the idea that there is something more out there.
Yeah, I kind of got from that she's agnostic, but that she holds space for God too. She holds out hope that perhaps there's something she's just seen so much. I imagine that it's very difficult to have unfiltered faith.
Yeah.
I don't know the best way to put it. I noticed that the 2 main storylines with her this week where she was able to really connect had to do with motherhood. And I wonder if that was a deliberate choice by the writers because, she was listening to Amaya, and when they, I think, really made a human connection was when Maya talked about how she wanted to have kids one day. And it felt like that was like a spark plug moment for her and McKay, where they really kind of connected as people. And I feel like that if you watch, I've been trying to pay attention to the quiet moments with McKay and Roxy with this storyline, because I feel like there's a lot going on behind her eyes with that patient. And I kind of think I get now what she's seeing in her is just the tragedy as one mom to another of her having to, not just the tragedy of her dying and having to leave her kids, but having to live for several months, denying everything about her own mortality and personhood and this horrendous thing that she's going through because she's trying to protect those kids. And McKay right now especially knows what it's like to have to sacrifice your own self and your own needs and wants to be what your child needs you to be. And I feel like that's part of what she's connecting with Roxy.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I feel like Fiona Dorff hasn't been in this season a lot, but when she is, it feels like that there is a theme going on, and then she's just so subtle that I feel like you really have to pay attention to her face in almost every scene to like figure out. I feel like I'm rambling, but I've really been paying attention to that because she's not there as much, but it feels like it's very crucial to scenes that she's in. And I think we're going somewhere with all of this.
Well, speaking of her face, when she's talking to McKay about, I'm sure you've seen a lot of death, and Roxy asks her if she has any advice on death. I've never died before. McKay's face said a lot right there.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was like she was reflecting back on someone that she lost, or if she was just like scared of, how do I answer this question to somebody who's passing?
Right.
I love that you brought that up, because that last shot between the two of them through the door window, where you could still see that expression on McKay's face and Roxy looking at her like begging her for something, but it was just silence. Oh, so brilliant.
Like the same way that you were admiring that she didn't lie about her belief in God, I like that they didn't have her giving an answer to that, because honestly, what can you say? There is no advice. She's never died before either, even if she's seen a lot of death. And even if you've seen a million deaths, you haven't seen this one human's death. And there really is nothing to say. But yes, that's exactly what I'm badly trying to say, is it feels like they're bringing McKay in more and more the last few episodes, but her storyline is almost so much quieter than a lot of the others that are going on. Like, it's very obvious what's going on, or at least some of what's going on underneath the surface with Robbie and to a certain degree Santos. And we've found out more about Mohan and her quest in the last couple of episodes. But what feels like there's something pretty dramatic going on under the surface with McKay, but I feel like you have to really pay attention to her quiet facial expressions in every scene.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's just such a fascinating actress that it just feels bigger than it is. I don't know.
That moment felt big to me. It really, really did. So I'm
very big.
Interested to see how. I'm not looking forward to it, because it's going to rip my heart out, but more great acting and another great story to show people, because as hard as it is to watch this, it's also helpful.
Yeah, I am going to just ask. Becky doesn't drink, but I'm going to ask Becky that you just get hammered when Roxy passes, before we have to record that episode. I feel like that's the only way we're going to get through it.
I can, but it would just basically be me going,
at least that would be amusing for me.
You laughing. That is exactly what that whole episode would sound like. So y'all stay tuned. All right, let's move on to your girl Santos, because Santos had a lot going on this episode. We get 12-year-old Jude Augustine, played by the adorable Anthony B. Jenkins.
Standout role. I want to say that right off the bat. That kid
acted his ass off.
Did you see his little tear running down the side of his eye when he was trying to be all manly for his sister? Oh, kill me.
Yeah, that kid is going places. I can't message him on Instagram because we're not friends on Instagram, but I did dip into his comments or post about being on the Pitt, and was like, hey, love to talk to you if you can. So maybe he'll come on. But I just want to say first, Dr. Shin jinxed it. He jinxed this in the first episode. Robbie's like, don't say that, because now what did we get? Somebody blew their fingers off.
Man, it was inevitable, though. I mean, you cannot have a 4th of July episode and not have somebody blowing their fingers off. Hey, I almost blew my toe off once.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, I didn't think it would, but I don't think I've ever told you that story. It was 4th of July. I was 4 years old, and we were hanging out at the church across the street. We were playing over there, and the big kids were shooting off bottle rockets, and my shithead brother threw a firecracker at me, and I stepped on it right when it was going off. And yeah, I'm still got a scar.
Looked like she's about to pick up her foot and show me.
I thought about it for a second, and then I was like, no, she's not going to appreciate it.
No, you're right. I would not. I want to give a shout out to Santos here. She is so good with kids.
She is. Isn't that crazy?
Like how she balances talking to this kid and telling him the truth.
Perfect.
But not babying him, but also being compassionate to the fact that this is a 12-year-old kid whose life is going to be forever altered.
Yeah.
Like when she's telling him he did a good job by dropping the firework we found out it was a cherry bomb, which I guess is still a firework. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically the same principle, just bigger.
That he saved the rest of his hand. And when Giovanni says, we've got to take the bandage off, and he's like, I don't want to look. And Santos like, that's all right. Just look at me. And that little subtle shot of her giving him her gloved hand and his little hand wrapping around her hand, it just chef's kiss to Issa Briones for playing. I mean, most of these guys do a great job of playing the diversity of their character, but the two people that I think do it best are Noah Wyle and Issa Briones, because 1 minute you love them, 1 minute you can't stand them, but it's just such a brilliant anyway, they do a great job. But then Santos notices alcohol in his breath, and it kind of goes to a not great place. But before we get into the remainder of what happens here, I do want to talk about
Garcia.
Garcia pops up. Love getting to see Matt so much in these episodes, but I'm not crazy about her going mean mode. But I did like it when they're discussing another patient that we get an update on. And she's like, you got to love it when insurance companies make medical decisions. And it's like, yeah, that is a huge problem.
The whole problem.
That's true. Santos asks her about coming over, and Garcia just totally blows her off. Like, I made other plans. And then right before the daggum elevator door shuts, we're just keeping it casual, right? I feel like that should have been an upfront conversation, or was it? What did you get out of that?
So a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that when she was telling Santos that she wasn't going to come over that night, I told you, I messaged Alexander Metz, was like, okay, what are you doing to my girl here? I don't like how you're talking. I don't like your tone to my girl. And then I watched this episode the first time. And when I saw that scene, I got the impression, I thought the first time that she was saying it more along the lines of, hey, we're just keeping it casual, right? And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Is it Santos who is being withholding and Garcia is just giving it back to her?
Ooh.
But then I watched it the second time and I no longer believe that. Now I'm back to, it feels very much like Santos has caught feelings and Garcia is the one that is like the older mentor relationship, and she's being withholding and being like, yeah, dog, I'm not.
She's had
I'm
her
not
fun and she's moving on.
So now I'm back to thinking the whole relationship is icky because there is this mentor.
It's a power balance.
Yeah, it's in a power imbalance. And I am now like, I don't know, man. I love her so much. I don't want to be mad at Garcia again. But I just don't want her to break Santos's heart. It's just, I'm starting to feel like that is part of what's been going on with her. Because my big question about Santos, and I'm not a doctor, and again, if there's any medical professionals out here that can give us some clarity about this, please do. But everybody keeps telling Santos to chart after her shift is over. So I have two thoughts about that. One is that sounds a lot like free labor to me. That really sucks. Is that really what everybody does? And are they getting paid to do it? Because if not, I'd be pissed about that. Number two, though, is if everybody else's program is to do that, why can't Santos do that? What is she doing after work that she can't just chart at the end of her shift?
I don't know.
Have they addressed that?
No.
I feel like we're going to get something about that because they keep saying
they're beating
that.
us over the head with charts, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
So it's going to come up again. It's just that so much else is going on that I find interesting. I just kind of, I don't tune out, but I don't focus so much on the charting other than her making that AI mistake.
Yeah, it's just I've noticed that several people now have told her, do it at the end of your shift. And so I feel like that's going to end up being a plot point. There's a reason that she's not
doing it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering where we're going with it. But back to those kids. Oh man.
We did with Justin, the episode Justin covered with us. I think it was him that asked us, what storylines have you not seen that you want to see? And I said immigration, and this is not at all what I meant. I don't know what I meant, but I didn't think it would be like little kids.
It's painful.
So we find out Chantal, his sister, is Jude's legal guardian, and she is pissed. You can see the toll it's taken on her trying to care for him and juggle her own life and responsibilities. And I felt so bad for both of them at how she snaps at him because he was hanging out with kids she doesn't want him to. And this is why, because they, I guess, talked him into doing things that he wouldn't have normally done. Because I don't know if you heard her when Santos says he's a really sweet kid after Robbie has her step out after she's worked up.
Yeah.
And she's like, he used to be. So it's like, well, how long has this been going on?
I imagine about as long as his parents have been gone. You know, imagine being 12 years old and your parents suddenly have to abandon you to leave the country. Not that they wanted to, but, you know, that's probably what it feels like at 12. And now you've got your 19-year-old sister trying to tell you what to do all the time. And you're going into puberty. You got all the shitty attitude and all that. I mean, I know I would have gone down with my kids. Or me and my siblings, and it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have listened to shit they had to say. And so she's having to abandon her college dreams because I think she had to transfer to something else, I think they said, because she was at Ithaca. And so now she's got to, I think she said, go to community college, lose her parents, and somehow parent her little brother who won't listen to shit she says. And I'm sure she's been quietly unraveling for the last 9 months.
Right. And I think a lot of that came out there. But what I liked about this, the way they gave us what's going on, that it wasn't immediate. Because we know the parents aren't in the picture. My mind immediately goes to the parents ran off. They've got some type of addiction or something. So when the bomb dropped, because he was drinking, social services is supposed to be called in. And Chantal, you could see that switch flip when Robbie makes that comment. She's like, oh, you're going to take him away. And she's like, he tries to say something and she's like, no. And she goes in and she just sits down. She doesn't look like she's saying anything, but she's just sitting there holding Jude's hand. Kudos to social worker Dylan and Robbie for getting it out of her, what's going on. So her parents go in for their immigration status hearing, which is happening all over the country. And instead of being treated with respect and dignity for trying to do this process the right way,
rewarded for doing it the right way,
they get detained and are deported back to Haiti. And Chantal did not want her brother to have to go to Haiti. It's a place he's never been, and it's not exactly the safest place to be. That family fled for a reason.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous place right now. Haiti is in turmoil. I don't want to kidnap this podcast with my thoughts on that, but we're supposed to be the land of the free. And God knows that immigration is an incredibly complex situation. I'm going to just repeat a quote here that I am 100% certain I've said at least once in the past at some point on this podcast. But my priest several years ago, we were talking in a homily about immigration. He said, human beings have an absolute right to safety and dignity and peace. Nations have an absolute right to protect their borders. Sometimes those two rights are going to intersect. Who we are as a people is defined by how we answer that problem. And we're failing. We're failing right now.
Miserably, we are failing.
This is a nation of immigrants, for good or ill, because God knows a lot of our ancestors, not mine, I'm white as the tundra, but a lot of people's ancestors were not necessarily brought here willingly. But then there are a shit ton of the rest of us that have ancestors who came here fleeing terrible, terrible things.
This country was founded on the backs of immigrants.
All of us.
Yeah.
Immigrant, right. Willing and unwilling immigrants, because I don't want to dismiss that quite a bit of this country was founded on people who did not want to come here. They were forced to do so. But even they were not people that were born here. And then you've got the people that were already here that we've treated like absolute garbage. Here we are 400 years in, and we've gone from being the country that's bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses to, even if you do it the right way, we're going to kick you out and send you back into a fucking war-torn country.
But not before detaining you in horrible conditions, separating you from your family. Your family has no idea where you are, where you're going, because a lot of these people aren't even going back to where they came here from. They're going God knows where, and it's fucked up. It's so fucked up. I hope everybody watching this especially those watching it who are supporting how ICE is treating people, be it an immigrant, American citizen. It doesn't matter anymore. It's a free-for-all. If you look different, you might be a problem. And it's messed up. And I hope that seeing this story softens your heart and your mind to be open to helping take better care of these people coming here looking for what we all value so much is our freedom. Yeah.
We could spend
in
another entire when we're not doing our Waiting Tables podcast, we're going to do our thoughts on immigration podcast. You know what, though? Part of the reason that I have strong feelings about that, honestly, those two things intersect. My first real experience with people who came here, first generation immigrants, it was working in restaurants. Yeah. And it's also part of what brought me out of fairly deep conservatism politically, was listening to these conservative pundits on the radio trying to sell ad space by ginning people up and getting them scared of everything, calling Mexicans lazy. That was a turning point in my life one day when I heard this guy that I had listened to probably 1,000 times in the car, didn't always agree with him, but didn't really have an issue with him. And it really made me see what a bigot he was, because immigrants are just like anybody else. They're humans and we are all unique individuals. There's no one playbook that says all immigrants are saints or whatever. I don't believe in open borders. We definitely need to protect the innocent people here. There is no easy answer, but what I will never believe is that the vast majority of people who come here are anything more than incredibly hardworking people. That my personal lived experience has been that they are the hardest working people I have ever met in my entire life. I've never met a lazy immigrant because they've had to work 3 times as hard for probably half the money, and they do it because it's still better than where they came from. Because at least there maybe is more safe, or before this administration was more safety and peace for their kids. So they did it. They did what they had to do. Unlike, a lot of the people I know that were born and raised in this country who can't be bothered to lift a finger to help themselves. So it's incredibly infuriating to see people who call themselves Christians be in favor
being the exact opposite of what a Christian is.
Right.
Period.
Right. And I don't know what I thought the storyline was going to be, but I knew they were going to bring immigration in at some point. And honestly, it's tough to watch, but I'm glad that it's showing the impact that it's having on children. And I've seen some people in some of the fan pages who, when a couple of the fan pages have made, like, for instance, when Alex Peretti was killed, and a couple of fan pages posted the honor watch, and people jumping in and saying, oh, don't talk politics here. Don't bring politics into this. And they're clearly conservative, because nobody who's not is going to have a problem with that. But it's puzzling. Like, what do you like about this show? I don't even understand why you wouldn't find this show triggering, because every storyline that they're telling here is about how the lack of humanity in this country is killing our healthcare system and our healthcare workers.
Yeah, it's all relatable. And the show is doing this on purpose, and it is to spark these conversations. So these are conversations we will have. We got chastised in season 1 when the abortion storyline came up, and we shared our thoughts on how we feel about that. And somebody said, I watched this show to get away from escape. That. So please keep your opinions to yourself. And we're like, thanks for listening, but sorry, this is what the show is about. And this is what we're going to talk about.
I like talking about it. Yeah. I mean, it's very motivational to see that somebody on a large scale with a massive budget is working. I mean, I feel like this is kind of, we look around at, like, what can we do, when it feels overwhelmingly bad and like it's just getting darker and darker. I think it's brave to tell stories like that in America in 2026. So
it's very much needed.
Yeah.
I do want to say something, though, about this story. When Robbie pulls her out and makes that smartass comment about how she was so gung-ho to get social services involved with the 8-year-old ITP patient from earlier, I wrote here, holy shit, that was this season. Like, oh my God.
So much has
That's
happened.
The first time it smacked me in the face that we are still on the same day. I love how they do that, man.
Yeah, how they make you realize it's exhausting when you go back and think about that.
Yeah. But we get social worker Dylan, who agrees with Santos. He doesn't think Jude is in danger, and he kind of explains what's going to happen next, but he does think that eventually it might be best for Jude to go back with his parents. And I'm with Santos. Says who? He's never been there. We don't know what his life there would be like, just because, it's like I look at situations with children in my own family who should have been removed from their homes when they were children, but they weren't because the parents were still there. Being a parent, and I'm not saying their parents are bad. I don't know. It sounds like they were great, wonderful people. I just mean that because you have parents doesn't mean that that's a safe situation for you. Does that make sense?
It does. And in this situation, it seems incredibly naive of him to have said that because it is a literal war zone in Haiti. Sometimes in life, your choices are between shitty and god awful.
Right.
And you just have to decide, or even more simplified, shitty and could be potentially fatal. I mean, sometimes the choices are just not great no matter which way you turn. And there's nothing perfect here. But yeah, I thought that was very naive to say that. And maybe in the norm, but that kid going back to Haiti, I mean, it is not safe there.
No. So I don't think any of us are going to like how this storyline plays out, but I'm hopeful that Santos will continue to champion for this kid and his sister, and that it does end up in a better place.
Yeah, I hope so, because that sucks.
I'm glad that we got a little bit of levity for Santos. The furry patient was great. I meant to look up that actress's name because I just thought she killed it. But I did look it up that Anthrocon is real, and it is an annual furry convention that happens in Pittsburgh. And this is the storyline. I want to know who on the Pitt writing team is a furry, has gone to furry, and decided to put this in, because I love it. I want to know more.
Oh, I didn't even, and I thought I've gotten pretty good at spotting I bet that's a Pittsburgh reference, but I didn't even think to look up Anthrocon. And now I'm wondering, like, do they have like a newspaper like a local Pittsburgh newspaper that they read, that they're just like, what's going on there?
I am holding faith that someone who either consults on the show
up a furry,
or, like, in my head, I'm seeing Noah Wiley as a giant raccoon going to these things every year. I need to believe it in my soul that someone has participated in this. And if they have, thank you for making it a storyline, because it was brilliant. All the different shots of the people walking through the ED and passing her costume set up and there, the looks. But I wrote this little girl's, she's not a little girl, I don't know how old she is, but I'm old, everybody seems young. She said, furries get a bad rap, but they're great people in the community, creative, welcoming, funny. And then she goes on to talk about how she met her girlfriend there last year and telling Santos, you should come this weekend. And goes on to say, you would make a good dragon. And I'm like, that is like one of the best observations of Santos ever.
Yeah, she did. She was very observant. I'm going to be real brief in my thoughts about all of that, because I don't want to kink shame anybody. I don't think you're a freak or anything. That's just one I don't get. And more practically in this situation, what are you doing out in 100-degree weather in a costume?
Well, the same people who are out in 100-degree weather at Burning Man or at Disney World trying to get a paycheck. It brings her joy. You saw how happy that girl was.
She was very happy, which is why I'm biting my tongue, because it is not for me to judge. You be you.
Be you. And
be you, squirrel
come
girl.
back on the Pit and tell me more about it, because I loved this.
Becky's ready to go.
I'm like seriously thinking I want to go. I don't want to dress up, but I'd love to go meet these people and talk with them and find out what makes this glorious. Because, I look at it like Comic-Con, people who dress up as, TV characters. Would I not come dressed as a doctor from the Pit to go to Comic-Con one day for a panel? Absolutely. How is that different than these people getting together in their furry costumes?
Because that is not a mascot costume with a hole in it for someone to pork you in it.
But if I were single and met somebody hot that wanted to pork me while in my Dr. Pitt costume, is that wrong?
Nope, you're right. Absolutely. That is a great analogy. I'm still not there yet. So maybe, yes, that is it. Maybe a little bit of me is judging the furries, and I don't want to, because I'm essentially somebody that's like, if you ain't hurt nobody else, you do your thing. I just don't get it.
I understand.
There's nothing hot about mascots to me.
This young girl made me love the whole furry thing. And if any of our listeners out there know more about, be it from Pittsburgh, and know more about this event or have participated, please write in.
Please.
I want to hear more about it. I want to understand it more. Please. And I thought it was great.
For sure, which is part of why I wanted to keep it brief, because I do not want to offend anybody. Essentially, it's just not for me, but that is not that I think you are a bad person or that you are a weirdo, that you can't just have a perfectly normal life outside of that. It's just so not sexy to me, so I just don't understand it.
Well, I do understand where you were coming from in a couple of episodes ago when you were talking about the possibility of Joy and Santos. I am now shipping Jantos.
Oh my God, they got a name?
I gave it to him. I just made that up.
Yeah,
I'm here for it
to happen. I think that's a good combination because they're both very strong-willed people. They're both very career-driven. They're both very snarky. Neither one of them is real precious about emotions, but at the same time, they have some key differences that I think that make it a better fit than her and Garcia. For one, it's not a power imbalance. For another, Joy has a calmer center than Santos does.
They would balance each other out.
Yes. And I think Santos would be willing to mix it up. Not that Joy really needs protection, but I feel like Joy would be like, if they were dating and somebody pissed her off, she would just kind of be like, Santos, do my light work for me, and let Santos just go and do what she enjoys, which is be pissy to somebody.
Right. Keep an eye out for more Jantos. I'm here for it. All right. Last main point before we move on to other stuff. Robbie, Whitaker, and Abbott. First note, Robbie peed.
I didn't even notice.
He looked at, I think it was the room, maybe it was the room Jada or Jude and his sister were in. Something was going on and he stuck his head in and he needed to be involved in it, but he was right next to the bathroom and he actually went to the bathroom.
Oh, well, congrats, Robbie.
I wrote progress and then
you can work on one of your needs.
A few moments later, I'm like, yeah, not so much progress. But anyway, so Whitaker gets his doctor badge. I love that it was Robbie who gave it to him. You know, Dana did that on purpose. Yeah. She knew that that's how that needed to go. And I really liked how sweet Robbie was to him about what he was saying. It meant something a little different once we got through his conversation with Abbott, but I thought it was very sweet. But what made me laugh about this conversation is Robbie shushing Whitaker when he was trying to interrupt. He's like, I'm not finished. And then he was like, shh. Like, that's how Mandy and I talk to each other all the time. But Robbie's like, I'm worried about you being taken advantage of. And then he's like, by the way, would you house sit for me while I'm gone? Like, put your hand down, Ogilvy.
That's funny. Well, I think it could be read that way, but honestly, I think that he did that
as a favor.
Right. I think he knew that maybe some of it is Whitaker doesn't want to be at Santos's apartment all the time, and he might need his own space. It's kind of what I got from that, is that he just thought it might be empowering for him to have his own space.
And then Whitaker says to Whitaker, if I don't come back, you've got a swinging bachelor pad. And I wrote here in my notes, Whitaker's face is all of us right now.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah. And then side funny moment of levity is Dr. Al coming in and like, who's the Joker who did this? Because I don't know how many, if you paid attention, that dummy used to be on the couch.
Yes.
And now it's at the table.
With a scarf around
It's like my new friend. And if they had an Instagram page, I would reach out to see if we could interview them on the show. Because it's become one of my new favorite characters.
I kind of hope they keep it going.
I hope so too. All right, let's get into this part. So he's talking with Abbott, and it starts out very cute. they see Dana and Dr. Al laughing together, and Abbott says, I like her. And Robbie's like, more than me? And Abbott says, only time will tell. And then Robbie's like, well, if I don't see you before I leave. And I loved Abbott. I love how Abbott reads Robbie. And you can tell he's worried because he tells Robbie this is going to be a lot of time to self-reflect. And I'm with Abbott. I don't think Robbie can handle that. But what killed me is when Abbott is telling him, you make sure you come back. And if it gets dark, you call me. And Robbie would not make eye contact with him.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad.
Yeah, they definitely are leading us to the conclusion that Robbie is at the very least subconsciously suicidal, if not actively planning something bad.
Yeah. And I had it under show notes and news, but Mandy suggested we read it now. And I think that's a good idea. When I was Googling, I always look for a good photo to match the clip that I pull for the intro and the Facebook posts for our episodes. And I found this article written by Ryan Schwartz with TV Line, where he talks to Sean Hannity about what they call Robbie's quote unquote goodbye parade. So in the article, Abbott asks, going to be a long time to self-reflect. Are you sure you can handle that? Robbie doesn't answer. You just make sure you come back, he tells Robbie. And if it gets dark, you call me. Well, according to Hannity, that moment marks the quiet beginning of what Robbie himself may not yet fully realize is a series of goodbyes. Of course, Abbott understands that Robbie isn't doing the work to get better, and so do the rest of us. Hannity says, I threw in that last part, Noah Wiley and I talked a lot about this scene between Abbott and Robbie, and he mentioned that this being around 4 p.m. when that scene occurs, when Abbott says, hey, if I don't see you, have fun on your trip. It was kind of like a bell goes off for Robbie that this is the beginning of my goodbyes. If my plan is maybe I'm not going to come back or I'm going to do something really self-destructive, this is the first one. So we made sure to kind of clock Abbott in reading him, and that starts an arc for Abbott that we kind of come back to later. So chills on that one. I still think it's going to be them taking care of Robbie because he did something self-destructive.
So they go on, for Robbie, it's the beginning of the goodbyes parade, and it sort of dovetails right into that scene with Whitaker, Hannity continues. First of all, it's like the mentor proud of his student, who's now a doctor, and then there's a little bit of a lesson in there in his own Robbie way, where he helps Whitaker come to his understanding of boundaries without really telling him exactly what it is. But then there's this glimmer at the end where he says, and if I don't come back, you've got a swinging bachelor pad. For Robbie, it's a tiny, unhinged moment. His energy there is different, and it makes the audience say, wait a minute, what is really going on here?
And that's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah. I told Becky and Sam in our awesome group chat, you guys wish you were in because it's so funny this week, that I definitely think that they are wanting us to go there. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I want to go on record as saying I don't think for a minute that they're going to kill off Dr. Robbie.
I don't think so either.
I just don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It makes sense.
But I do think he's going to be injured somehow, some way. He is going to suffer some kind of injury, which causes, he's going to, I think I said it early on, that I think he's going to end up by the end of the season, a patient at PTMC.
I think that's a very good possibility. The whole mention of it maybe being a longer story arc for Abbott, that worries me because now I'm worried because, again, Abbott's also suicidal. Whether he teeters on suicidal, he's definitely got suicidal ideation. So I'm a little worried that it's going to be a misdirect and we're going to be looking over here at Robbie and it's going to end up being Abbott that does something to himself.
I don't know,
guys. We don't need the stress right now.
Whew, yeah. So something's coming. Something wicked this way comes for sure. So we'll see how it plays out. But we both have our theories, and I think we're both on the same page that I don't think that neither one of us thinks Robbie's going to die.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because they just got renewed for season 3, and I just don't see the networks being okay with them getting rid of their biggest star.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see though. Hey man, this show has definitely surprised me before. Maybe Robbie will come back and be a ghost.
Okay, that would be Grey's Anatomy all over again, where Izzy has sex with the dead guy, and that would be where the Pitt loses me.
That was the last episode of Grey's Anatomy that I watched.
Same. I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Well, this is not that show, but hey, maybe in like season 10, where it starts to, you got to
Like,
pull out a gimmick.
Yeah.
It'll be Ghost Pit.
There you go. And all the people who
All the old dead yes,
come back.
Damn it, write this
But
down.
the ER is run by Myrna, Earl,
we're working.
and Mr. Digby.
HBO Max, come back to us, circle back to us in like 6 seasons. We have
plans. All right, let's head on into chart notes. We're running long already. I said I wasn't going to do this, and here we are.
Every week.
All right, so this was the most precious storyline of the entire episode. Mel, Becca, and Langdon. So we just get a quick update. The eye patient is regaining her sight. Mel is so distracted. She's like, whatever. But she does seem happy. And this young lady is going up to the ICU to be monitored. And Mandy, you want to read that second note?
Oh, I do. It says Mandy was right. I'm not sure what I was right about, but I believe it.
But that Becca, something was going to be wrong with Becca and she was going to end up in the ER. And you were 100% right. It was not her menstrual cramps. It is a bladder infection. And I have suffered from bladder infections and kidney infections the better part of my adolescent and adult life. And I feel for her because they're so uncomfortable.
They suck so bad.
But I love Tall, who plays Becca, and I reached out to her management team. She is going to come on for an interview, but she's so busy right now promoting her time on the Pitt and a lot of causes and things that she does. So it's probably going to be end of season, if not a little bit later before we get her. But she is coming, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk to this brilliant young lady.
Yes, I'm so excited about that because she is a hoot. And she's really one of those that we say this a lot, but whoever the casting director for this show is, they're just so good at finding these little hidden gems and people that you've never seen before and you just can't look away from them. Same thing. She's just so good. Yeah. She's just very dynamic on screen. She's a very funny character, but she's not a joke.
No, and that's what makes her beautiful. It's just and she's just a normal girl coming to the ER.
Her sister was working her nerves. You could tell she was getting annoyed.
I've been to a doctor before.
Sweetly. Yeah.
But I loved when Mel is introducing her and she's like, "You're Dr. Robbie? Cool." Yeah. And then to Langdon, "You have really nice hair, Dr. Langdon." And it was so freaking sweet when Langdon is talking with her and she says, "Mel says a lot of nice things about you." I love Mel and Langdon, but not as a romantic couple. I just love their friendship, their workship, their chemistry. It's so beautiful.
They're like siblings. In a way, he's like a big brother. It's just like a big brother feel is what I don't know why she kind of imprinted on him that first day. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense on paper, but
it works.
It works. It works really well. And I want to just say for the very first time, I didn't just there have been scenes, especially this season, where I've been I think better of Langdon now. I think, I can see him growing on me. I loved him in that scene with Becca. That made me genuinely, for the first time, have some real affection for that character. I thought that was a great scene. I loved that he used what he had learned from Mel in the first season to know how to comfort her. I love that Mel has made him a better, more empathetic doctor. And I just thought that the way that he talked to her was perfect. He wasn't condescending to her. He was listening and he was relaying the information to her calmly and in a way that she could understand. And I thought I loved it. I love that scene.
And not only that, how he was with Becca, but how he was with Mel, because when attorney shows up for the deposition and Mel has to go, she's freaking out. And it was well done, Taylor Dearden, for showing how much you can tell Mel really loves her sister. She really loves her sister. Her sister is her life outside of.
Yeah. Do you notice her, when they said she was there, she dropped everything and literally started running through the ER to get to her.
Yeah, she went to get her. But also how Langdon talked to her. When Dana's like, "Oh, look, you're free," and grabs Langdon, Mel says something or somebody says, Dana says something, and Mel's like, "Yes, yes, I want him to do it," because they originally asked Santos in her line of, "Is anyone really free?" was so great by Cibrianos. But the way he is with Mel, telling her, don't worry, she's in good hands. And Mel's like, I know. And then he tells her, can you, like you said, can you turn the light off on your way out? It just like he let Mel know, I know what I'm dealing with here. I got your back. This is your sister. It's like the work family. We all, after a while, develop our work families. And like you said, they're like siblings. And Becca's my sister too. I got this. I just think Patrick Ball as Langdon, they did such a great job.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been as comfortable leaving her with anybody but Langdon. So that was great.
And I'm glad that Perla, when Robbie was eye hustling a lot this episode, and he was eye hustling, peeking in on Langdon with Becca. And I'm glad when Perla came out of the room and she's like, how's he doing in there? And Perla's like, he's doing great. He's great with her. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on in Robbie's head about Langdon, because like I said a couple episodes ago, 1 minute it's like he hates him, and the next minute it's like he sees hope. I see hope in his face for Langdon. It's a very, like I said, diversity in the face. I'm not saying that's what it is. That's just what I'm seeing based on each look isn't the same to me.
No, I think that is part of it. But that's another thing, kind of like with McKay, that whole, we have seen Robbie in the background very obviously kind of peeking in so many times so far this season. And I feel like there's something with that. And my brain is trying to figure out exactly where they're trying to go with that. I think that, yes, Langdon is part of it. But I mean, he's been doing that with, how many different times, Mohan and Abbott. And there were a couple of times in this scene where it's almost like they're trying to show that Robbie is stepping back from his role as the leader into becoming an observer.
Well, he wants to make sure everybody's going to be okay when he's gone. That's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
But with Langdon, it's thicker. There's something else there.
Yeah, there's an extra layer there. Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's going to be like a montage after whatever his horrible thing is coming in Robbie's. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get hung up here, but the repeated ear hustling on Robbie's part is becoming interesting.
Yeah, very. All right, last note here is OMG, the tale of two Jackies continues. Both of those girls were thirsting over Langdon. And
I'm going to miss you, CK and Q.
I wrote CK and Q. I like that. I wrote here in my notes, Thang just had her tongue stitched up, but she's still working to get a hookup. Langdon couldn't get away fast enough. I loved it.
Yeah, I love the confidence.
Just twirling her hair. Thank you, doctor.
I'm curious what she's going to eat her bean dip with, because he was pretty clear. Can't be eating it with tortilla chips. I don't know. She's going to get like some naan or something. I don't know. Just eat it with a spoon.
As hungry as she's got to be after...
I mean, I might just eat bean dip. I do love some bean dip.
I would melt some queso on there and just eat it with a spoon. All right, next chart note, Perla and Princess. This was just a shit ton of hilarity.
So fun.
Perla not wanting to go outside to Google the manual for the fax machine, and her bitching at Princess because it was Princess's idea. Princess gets her winnings, which was $1,000, if I understood that correctly.
I wasn't paying attention to that. I was too busy going, Princess.
Well, she cheated. Sure. And Perla called her out on that. Yeah. Perla's like,
give me my money.
She wheeled right over there. How much to keep quiet?
Would have done the same thing.
And then there was a moment with Emma and Perla working on the fax machine. And I wrote here in my notes, I felt Emma's joy in my soul when she got that paper jam out. Then there's a toner issue, and Perla quick thought we live in hell.
Yeah.
And Emma's like, where can we get one? And Dana's like, 1988.
That was funny.
Oh, that was so funny. And then Princess thirsting over Dr. Parker.
Funny. That was maybe my favorite part of the season, the episode, was her face when she first saw him. She was like that meme of that guy, I think, hiding behind the tree, rubbing his hands and licking his lips. That's what she made me think of.
And then there was another moment when I think Javadi was peeping and was ogling him too, but Princess is blatantly looking at him, and Perla snaps at her and is like, close your mouth.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if we ever get Noah Wiley on our podcast, that's going to be me. The entire episode is just sitting there ogling with my mouth open, and you're going to have to run the show. So be prepared for that.
When Joy was able to correctly diagnose that injury, and he was like, have you ever read, was it radiology? Have you ever done a radiology class? She's like, no, I'm just that good. And Princess is like, I'm good at things too.
I missed that.
Yeah.
One where he was explaining to Joy how they get used to do the
wet reeds.
Yeah, a wet reeds.
Yeah.
That's what I got a wet reed for you. Yes, she does.
No, when Joy did that diagnosis and she goes, I'm just that good, and walks off, and Princess is over there, and there's like a beat where she's basically licking her lips, and she goes, I'm good at things too.
I missed that. I'm going to have to go back and watch.
It was
Thank
worth
you for
it.
catching that one.
She's so cute. I love her hair. I love how they do her hair. There's just something very princessy about Princess.
It's the perfect name for her personality.
Yes.
She's just...
Yeah.
And her and Perla together, I would watch a spinoff of
sure.
Perla and Princess.
For sure.
I think we said that last week.
And I want to mention here, because I'm afraid it won't naturally come up again, and this is objectifying her a bit, and I don't remember, but the lady that plays Princess, oh my God, have you seen her?
Kristen Villanueva?
No, not Princess. I'm sorry, Perla. She is gorgeous. That woman...
She's beautiful on the show, too.
She's very pretty, but like she's in her scrubs and she's got her hijab on and all that. Not that you can't be beautiful in a hijab, but she's just very dressed down. And when you see her with like her makeup and oh my God, that woman is drop dead gorgeous.
That whole cast is.
Everybody's hot. Yeah. Not like any ER I've ever been in.
Same. I wish. No, I don't wish to ever be in an ER again. But if I had to, actually, no, I don't want. I don't want hot people being like, she needs a catheter.
No, that would be even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah. All right. Well, next up is Mr. Knox. Garcia is back and explaining the risk to him about surgery. And Howard's like,
hey, do they have another surgeon?
Yeah, they got Shamsi.
Oh, yeah. But she's
Javadi's mom.
How come they always send Garcia? It's like,
because I need a reason to type Garcia in bold letters. Don't question things that work.
You're 100% right. Yeah.
But no, there is usually, if medical teams out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's usually a surgeon who is specific to the ER.
Gotcha.
That's the surgeon that gets called down.
And it's just her shift. Gotcha. I'm not complaining. I love seeing my girl. It just, I noticed that this week I was like, whenever they call surgery, it's like, it's almost always, unless she can't come and it's a clerk or a nurse or somebody that they sit down.
Yeah. Howard wants to talk to his sister before he goes into surgery, and Abbott says he'll make it happen, and they do. And that phone call broke my heart, but I'm so glad it happened.
Me too.
I hope that phone call and knowing that his sister wants to see him and he gets the chance to, I'm guessing, maybe meet his nephew, probably.
Yeah, I hope
that's for the first time since he was a baby.
Pull him through.
Yes, I'm hoping that's what gets him through this surgery. And then my last note here in bold capital letters is protect Howard at all costs.
Yeah. Yeah, we just lost Louie, guys. We can't. Don't do this to us.
All right, next up, Ogilvy. Just real quick here, I felt like Ogilvy actually showed 0.1% of personality with the kidney stone patient when he made the joke that it was triggering because the guy's a high school teacher, English teacher like his dad.
We get a little backstory. Yeah, he got a tiniest scintilla of a crumb of an iota of a personality.
That's why I said 0.1%.
Yeah.
I'm giving credit where credit is due, but I'm not overshooting the percentage right there. Yeah. But I thought it was interesting when his dad said, when the guy says your dad must be proud, and Ogilvy says you'll have to ask him. So there's definitely more to Ogilvy's story that hopefully will explain why he's
the way he is. Have to really work for it, because I know a lot of people are like, well, Santos was an asshole in the past and you love her, and that is true. But the difference is Santos was never a bigot. She was never I guess maybe bigot's not the right word, but he's kind of shown some, not just he's an arrogant doctor, but like he's genuinely kind of a shitty human being.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work to do to make that onion not hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Last note. Oh my God. When Ogilvy put his hand, I forget what procedure they called it, but when he put his hand on the patient's back and tapped it and the guy winced, let me tell you something. That hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I have been in the emergency room twice in my life for kidney infections. And like I said, have dealt with bladder infections as long as I can remember. And they do that to check to see if the pain is centrally located to the kidneys.
Yeah.
And when it is, it is. And this nurse did that to me. And I literally jumped off of the bed and said really ugly words to her. And I felt so bad. But this is where I learned what Dilaudid is. I don't think I have the ability to be heavy opioid drug user because that stuff messed me up. Like they couldn't leave me by myself. I was like rocking back and forth, but then I'm an idiot and I won't go into the whole story, but I ended up driving myself home.
Oh my God.
On Dilaudid after getting IV antibiotics. I woke up the next morning and my landlady's like, hey, can you move your car? And the way we park in our driveway, I'm not behind her car. But when I went outside and I had somehow managed to park sideways.
I remember this. Yeah.
In the driveway, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have driven home last night. But she let me hear it because I told her I was going to the emergency room so somebody would know where I was at.
I bet Yvonne gave it to you.
So, yeah. I don't want Dilaudid. It scares me.
Well, I have been in the emergency room for kidney infection before. When Ava was a baby, they didn't give me Dilaudid, but they gave me some kind of morphine, and it made me very, very sick, and it was pretty awful. I don't remember getting the back tap thing. I don't think they did that to me when I was there.
Be glad.
Yeah, man. It looked like,
so bad.
Yeah, because it's painful. I can imagine how. But my Dilaudid story, I just told Becky this the other day in our group chat with Sam. It came up that I had a friend who was in a pretty big hardcore band here in Nashville in the 90s. They toured with some big names, and he was incredibly talented, but he was only like 20. And by 20, he had been in like 2 or 3 different published, at one point had like a label. But kind of like acting, you usually have to have a real job until you can make serious money. And he worked at this t-shirt shop in downtown Nashville called Village Imports. And I had a massive crush on him. So I would go there and just hang out and be like, tee, whenever I had time. Me and my friend Amy did that for like 2 years. We stalked this kid. And the week I get my driver's license, and my first car was a shitty 1982 Buick Century with 4 bald tires. I called it Old Ruby. And I was not a great driver in the first place, but I could not wait to go and show Brooks that I was a big girl now and I had my own car and all this. Unbeknownst to me, Brooks had developed a pretty severe addiction to Dilaudid because he got hit by a car walking to work across Hillsborough Pike, and he got TMJ. And he started taking Dilaudid, and he got very, very heavily addicted. And so while I was there, like a dumbass, he talked me into going and picking up his drugs for him. He told me he was going to go to rehab that night. They were getting him into rehab. I'm cutting some of the story out, but I, like an idiot, drove out to middle of nowhere my first week with a driver's license, come back with these drugs in my car, just freaking out, sweating. My air conditioning doesn't work. It was miserable. My car starts overheating. I get back and he took it into the back. He closed the store, and I do not and never have experimented with hard drugs. It's just never been my thing. I think I had people in my life, including sibling, who were very, very into drugs, and I saw how it destroyed their lives before I ever saw hard drugs. And so in that way, it was a blessing for me because it wasn't a temptation. And he took it in the back and he wanted me to join him. And I was like, no, thank you. And watching him shoot that into his vein, oh my God, to this day, 30 years later, it's still one of the most horrible memories of my life. So I left like very quickly, and my crush was over, but I was very, very concerned for Brooks for a long time. And Brooks's story does not have a happy ending. But yeah, Dilaudid is...
It's serious.
Yeah.
It is hardcore. And I think had they given me like a quarter of the dose they gave me, I would have been okay.
Right.
But I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to feel bad if you've taken it and it's been efficacious for you and it's something that has been used correctly for you. I'm so glad that they have it. It's one of those, when you hear about people getting on opioids, that is one of the real hardcore opioids that can lead. I mean, at that time in the early 90s, the way that Brooks described it to me is it's the drug that they gave people who were dying to make them feel better.
It is. Yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
It still is one of the ones they do. So yeah, just be careful with it. But I mean, it made the pain go away.
Well, that's good.
Felt great. Mentally, not so much.
Right. I can't believe they let you drive home.
Well, they asked me if I had a ride, and I said yes.
Okay.
That they were waiting for me outside. It's not like they just let me go. I lied. I flat out lied. But, I made it. Hey, a win's a win.
And those mysterious lumps that were kind of human shaped in the top of her car are nobody's business. We don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what that was.
Right. We'll never know.
I parked sideways in the driveway. Could have been a bush. Who knows? All right, next we get just a few patient updates. Baby Jane Doe, it was terrible, but I tried, is on her way. Well, she will be on her way soon to foster care. Please be a good place.
Yeah.
Jackson is now up in sight. Please get a great diagnosis and get the care that you need. And the guy who dislocated his shoulder that was sent to Presbyterian because they would pay for the surgery is back, and he is now in surgery.
That poor guy.
And Lord willing, he'll be okay.
That's the one I think Becky and I've maybe identified the most with, because you've been jerked around so many times in ERs and had to wait. And we totally felt his frustration when they brought him back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. He was actually nicer than I would have probably been ready to burn that place down.
Yeah. And the second Robbie took the beer that I was getting ready to get to drink away from me, I'm suing all y'all.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Dana and Emma. Just an observation. Dana looked super stressed out in the ambulance bay. It looked to me like she was either rethinking her choice to come back and do this job or rethinking the fact that she quit smoking, because you could see her twisting that cigarette around in her hand.
Maybe both.
She wanted that real bad. I'm saying
a little column A, a little of column B. I'm very worried about Emma now.
Why?
I got a glimmer. It's, again, one of my big swings, and I'm honestly not super confident in this one, and I hope I'm wrong. But it felt for a moment where they were interacting there, because Emma says, is it like this every day? And Dana says, minus the terrorist attack or whatever, the cyber attack. Yes. And then she said, but hey, pretty soon you'll be going home, and this will be the first of many, many days just like this. And it felt like for just a moment, with some of the faces, the choices that Emma was making with her face when she asked her, what did you say to that victim? And she said, I told her maybe to do the kit. She doesn't have to press charges today. She may want to do it down the road. Kind of felt like for a minute, like maybe she knew to say that because she had had something like that in her past. But then when Dana said that about this might be the first of many days, I started to think they better not have somebody hurt Emma. I just could see a world where Emma gets hurt, and then that's another trauma that Dana has to deal with, where Dana's fine, but something happens to Emma.
I could see that being a possibility, but I'm choosing not to think anymore on that.
Yeah, we can't. We don't have the bandwidth for that. We're just going to power through that little stray thought of mine and just.
But it's interesting. That's very interesting. But I kind of hate you telling me that, because now I'm going to be looking for it.
I hope I'm wrong.
Okay, next note. Javati fucked up.
She did, girl. I felt so bad for her.
You called it, though, earlier, a couple episodes ago, that something was going to happen that was going to humble her, and I believe this is it. I felt bad for her, but you could kind of see her doctor privilege showing by just assuming that the nurses were going to make sure patients got on the board, and that she didn't have to do more than see the patient and present. And I love that Dana was like, let's go, get on it. Have you done this? Like, kind of coaching her in what steps. But when they go in to see Mrs. Burns and she's unconscious, I did right on bar. Yeah. Because we got Nurse Kim.
I did too.
But I thought it was so adorable how quickly Digby got up to move his bed.
That was so sweet.
So they would have more room. And then when they're done and he's like, giving the thumbs up, and he's like, nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And that sweet smile Pearlie gave back to him was so cute.
Yeah, I'm so glad he's still around. I love that he's popping up in little moments. He's almost like the mascot of the ER this season. And I'm here for it. I'm enjoying it.
I am too.
I feel like he likes it there. I think he feels valued there, and he's like part of the team. And I love that.
Yeah. I'd love to see him end up working there where he can have someone keeping track of his medications and things like that.
What if he was in medicine at an earlier point in life? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't see that.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be cool if he could do that. I thought, yay for Whitaker for doing innovation without the camera. And it was really weird because you don't think about how young these guys are and what they're used to working with. And, he's like, I've not done one of these without the scope. And Robbie's like, well, you should do more of them without it. So I'm glad he got a W there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Giovanni just from start to finish with this patient messed up, and Robbie told her that he wants a debrief on this one later, but I'm going to tell you, read that last note.
Mean Garcia. Yeah, that was pretty rough.
She tore her down, and she did not give a shit. Not good enough, Nepo baby. You fucked up. I mean, she did fuck up, but damn.
Yeah, Garcia, man, though, I mean, she's very good. And I don't want to see her humbled, but at the same time, it's like, that was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was hardcore.
But you know what? I also kind of thought it was like she works with her mom. And I was like, for a minute thinking like, ooh, I bet she doesn't want that getting back. And then I was like, no, this is Garcia. She'll probably go up and go, I just told your Nepo baby she fucked up real good.
Oh, yeah, I'm quite certain that her mom probably said, go down there and tear my daughter a new asshole.
I could see that.
Her mom, I think there's no way Giovanni doesn't walk away unscathed by not getting scolded by her mom, too. So I just hope whatever she says to her, and I hope this doesn't tear down what confidence she was building.
Yeah.
I hope that she still stays the course and wants to finish out what she's doing.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I felt so bad for her.
Yeah, it was awkward. I was like, ooh, I just got to step out of the room for a minute. You guys finish this up without me.
Yeah. So Mohan's patient from last week made her realize that her mom is just lonely.
Called that.
Yes, you did. You very much did. She and McKay are ready to date, and Mohan's eggs are dying. So that's all I have there.
I'm going to say I'm a little like, okay, Mohan, TMI. Because remember when she kind of shamed McKay the first or second episode where McKay was talking about how she needs to get laid? And she's like, we don't ever need to talk about that. And here you are talking about your damn eggs are drying up.
Did you see McKay's like that weird, awkward, I'm not quite sure how to respond to this smile that was frozen on her face?
Yeah, I did. And I want to believe that part of that was like, oh, TMI, Mohan. Because that's what I would have been doing. I'd have been waiting all day for that moment.
Well, rest in peace, Mohan's eggs.
She's what, like 30?
Yeah, but dude, it's having started perimenopause at such an early age. I've done some research into, and that's why if you get pregnant over the age of 30, you are now considered, I think it's maybe 32 or 30, you're considered a geriatric pregnancy.
When I had my kids, it was 35. It might be.
I think it's come down some even more.
Well, let's Google that. I'm curious now. I'm going to see. Hold on. Because I always thought it was hilarious that they use the term. And I honestly think they really need to reevaluate that and come up with a better term. Because calling somebody in their 30s geriatric is ridiculous.
It's so dumb. And way to freak out a woman who's already concerned about,
35.
It is still 35? I swear I thought it was 32.
Yeah. No, but it does, like your fertility does start to be impacted in your 30s, but it's still for a normal, and well, say what's normal, because like we've already covered, every human body is very different. And I went into early menopause as well, but there are many, 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 many women who are still out here having kids well into their 30s and even their 40s. So I don't know. I just feel like her age is a little bit early to be freaking out about this, but there may be reasons that we don't know about.
I get where she's coming from because, I got married in my mid-30s, technically my late 30s.
Yeah.
And when the kid discussion came up, it was like, okay, I'll give it till 40. If we don't have a baby by 40, we're not having a baby. And we don't, which is fine. I've got my other kids, but other kids as in like my surrogate kids, not that I had just other kids out there. Let me clarify
I had those
that.
first 5 by 20 and they're probably fine out there somewhere.
Yeah, who knows where they are, but rumor has it they're doing great.
Becky doesn't have any kids that she knows of.
It's a lot of pressure on women nowadays, especially to have kids. That's why so many women are freezing their eggs if they're not married by a certain date. Because when you get married, you want to wait. You want to have time. Some people are ready to jump in and have babies as soon as they get married.
But normally you do want a little bit of
for
time.
them.
And if you're not even in a relationship at 30, I could see where that would make you start feeling very pressured.
I understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
All right, last note. The bat phone rings.
Ominously.
And Donnie sees on the news that the water park structure has collapsed and that lots of trauma is coming to the PTMC. And that's the end of our episode.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So my final thoughts, yay. LOVED this episode. The patient cases, the continued chaos, the problems it's causing among the younger doctors. Loved the pairings this week. Getting introduced to some new storylines, ripped straight out of the headlines. And then the way they're building up whatever's coming for Dr. Robbie. I just wrote, whew. So I give this 5 still functioning but missing 2-finger hands out of 5.
It was a very good episode. I enjoyed it. I went from laughing my head off to wanting to cry about 15 times in this episode. But just a lot of just building up, a lot of tension ratcheting. I really, really liked it. I'm going to give it a whole pack of fondled unlit cigarettes.
I love that. Great diagnosis.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to do Twisted Ovaries.
Oh my God, I totally would. If I had thought about it, I would thought about doing 35 ovarian cysts, but that felt disrespectful to Amaya's real pain. Yeah, because God knows I know a lot of people that suffer from that, and it is not funny. There's not shit funny about it.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I also thought about 5 of Mohan's dying eggs.
That would have been a good one. I should have done that.
All right, so we do have a couple of misdiagnoses this week. Mine is I was wrong. Roxy did not pass before her family got back.
Yeah, but it's coming. I mean, that's what the whole ice cream party was about.
The farewell.
Yeah, that dad, especially, not her husband, her father, I think really understands she's wrapping it up and is trying to do everything he can to try to make this as, I don't know, normal is not the right word, but, as copacetic as he possibly can for her and his grandkids.
Easiest transition possible.
Yeah. Which is just heartbreaking. My misdiagnosis is that I was totally wrong about Asperger's not being offensive. As I understand it, and I read up on it, there do seem to be some people out there that still that have been diagnosed that way and prefer to be referred to as Aspies. However, the vast majority of people don't want anything to do with that man because he was a whole ass Nazi. So way to go, Mandy. I was 100% wrong, and I will not be using that again. I explained, I think, in the episode, and also in talking to our good friend Penny, who was the one that turned me on to that. Thank you, Penny. That I was really just trying to shorthand that his behavior, Ogilvy's behavior in that scene, was a very specific type of autism symptoms that I thought most people would kind of recognize if I used that term. And that was all it was. I did not realize that he was a giant fucking Nazi. So who apparently experimented on people on the spectrum. So my apologies to everybody that might have been offended by that.
And thank you again, Penny, because we both learned. Yeah. I had no idea about any of that. So that was very good information to share. So thank you, Penny, for doing that.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a tiny bit of feedback this week from our What's On Tonight Facebook page. Diane Peters wrote, great show. Love the host.
Oh, thanks, Diane.
2 heart emojis, 2 smiley face emojis, and 2 star emojis. We love you too, Diane. Thank you so much.
We got a voicemail from our friend Sam. In the body of the email, she wrote, will someone from the water park be riding a motorcycle without a helmet?
Oh my God, I died laughing when I saw that.
She has a little laughing emoji. Also, fuck ice. Yeah, girl. Here are her thoughts on the episode.
Hi, ladies. Let's see if I can get through this without coughing too badly. Dr. Robbie, he's going to lecture about good boundaries and then invite one of his subordinates to house sit for him for 3 months. It's a nice idea, and it is, again, more of that overlap. Like, Whitaker is great. He's an excellent doctor and kind of an excellent human. I adore him. And also, Robbie, like, you can't just abandon Langdon because your dog made a poop on the carpet. Like, you can't just jump to a different favorite pet at work. So, that's just not a good idea. Not a good idea. Poor boundaries. Not a good idea. Abbott and his naked yoga would have been better. Speaking of Abbott, and Sean Hattasey, I wasn't attracted to him before. Something about Abbott. I mean,
that got me too this episode. I think Sean Hattasey's a handsome man, but have never been into him. But did I have some thoughts about a Becky, Abbott, and Robbie sandwich at the end of this episode? I did.
He's just, compassion and excellence at his job. I mean, okay, where do I drop the panties? I do feel bad about how Dr. Garcia snapped at Javati for her mistake. I also get it. I mean, Javati's been there for months now, and yes, it is overwhelming. Did she make a mistake? Of course. She didn't mean to do it. She didn't slack off. She just didn't focus. And someone almost died. She kind of needed that wrist slap. I mean, I know people are going to go after Dr. Garcia for that, but it's kind of needed to happen for Dr. Javati to kind of get a wake-up call. You can't be that slack with this kind of stuff. And it was a big oopsie. And I think she knows, I think this really affected her. And that's good. That's good. You need those moments. So I'm hoping things will get better. And I'm with you guys. Joy is starting to, I like her now. I like her. I find her very funny. I also find her very entertaining. I think once she gets her interest motivated, you can then find okay, now she's invested in this hospital that the rest of us are invested in. So, the water slide collapse. I've never heard of that before. I've heard of accidents at water parks, but we shall see. So there was something else coming. Yep. We have something else coming. Oh, and then an extra little shout out for Abbott and his emotional intelligence by reaching out to Robbie. He's trying. Another sexy quality. And a great episode directed by Sean Hattasey. So look forward to hearing what you ladies have to say. How bad do you think it's going to get?
Oh, God. So bad.
Yeah, my emotions are already just all over the place with these episodes. I started out watching this episode thinking this was just going to be one of the fun, lighter ones. And by the end, I was like, oh, God, I haven't smoked a cigarette in 20 years and I need one right now.
It's like, where's Dana? Can I bum one of those?
Yes. I think I am the only person on the planet that is just not physically attracted to Sean Hattasey at any level. Objectively, he's a handsome man.
It's okay. I didn't think a whole lot of him until this episode, but something about him with Howard, I was like, huh. And then, like Sam said, him being emotionally aware with Robbie, I was like, that's sexy. That is sexy.
Yeah, I love his character. I love that they have him on here more this season, and I hope that he continues to show up in every season of this show because he brings a lot to the table, and his character is very funny.
I will say I don't necessarily agree with Sam that Robbie is jumping from Langdon to Whitaker. I think Robbie was always a champion of Whitaker from the start of season 1 when Whitaker was trying to perform CPR on that patient and Robbie made him stop.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Yeah, so I don't feel like he's jumping from one to the other. I think Whitaker's always been one of his boos.
Well, and I get really lost in the hierarchy. And I have to tell you guys, I don't understand the hierarchy at my own damn job that I've been at for 8 years. So it just may be something my brain is just not capable of grasping, but I really struggle. I need to get a chart that kind of shows where everybody is in the progression. Like, this is the first episode that it's clocked to me that the attendants have to have somebody that they present their cases to at the end of every, or like after they've finished seeing every patient. And that was like, oh, well, yeah, they're supposed to be learning. Yeah, like, I lose a lot of that stuff. But I do think that from episode 1, Robbie has been very protective of Mel, Santos, and Whitaker. He's been really involved in everything that they do. So I don't see that as a real change either. And I don't think it's the same relationship.
No.
Even though, again, I don't really understand it. He's not an attending. I don't really know what that means. But he is a full-fledged doctor, and not like a baby doctor that he just became one. Langdon is a doctor, and I feel like
he's a senior resident.
I feel like he's been more of a colleague than a student at that point. That Robbie saw him as more of a contemporary than a student. Maybe he had been his student, but they had a more of a contemporary relationship. So if anything, it's almost like he's kind of replacing him with Abbott. But I don't really think he's doing that either.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, as always, everybody, thank you so much for all of you that took your time to send us feedback. We love it. We get caught up here. I just get a little verklempt every week because I just think it's so special that you guys take time out of your day to do that for us. Please keep it coming. We will absolutely, as you see, we do our very, very best. Even if we don't clock it at first, eventually we will. If you leave us a comment, we are going to talk about it in an episode.
For sure. And if you would like to get in touch with us, leave some feedback or just say hi, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight and the number 2 at gmail.com.
You can also visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave us feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you would leave us a review, comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice.
So how about we eye hustle everyone with Robbie and talk about where else listeners can find us, podcast recommendations, TV, movies, or anything else you want to share? What do you got this week?
I got nothing. It's been such a busy week. We moved my mother-in-law up here from Florida to Nashville last week, and that was kind of a whirlwind. And then there's just been a lot of settling in this week and stuff like that. Some of it's been pretty hectic. A lot of it has been a lot of fun. I love my mother-in-law to death. She's awesome. So it's nice spending more time with her, but it's just been a crazy week. So I literally have no suggestions for podcasts, movies, books. Sleep, man. That's what I recommend. Let's all get more sleep this week.
Yeah, that's a very good recommendation.
I want to watch the back of my eyeballs more.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to shout out Mark with our Pirate Core Entertainment Network. He has created a new podcast called the Kaiju Podcast. He and Dimitri are covering Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. That kind of stuff isn't really my jam, but I did listen to their first episode because Dimitri's new to podcasting, and they did a really good job. So especially if you're into the whole Godzilla, all that type of stuff, Mark is your man. You will love to hear them talk about it. So please check them out. You can find the link to their podcast under our podcast links in our show notes. And for TV recommendations, if you know, Paradise is back and they're killing it with the second season. So go check it out on Hulu.
Woo, that's 2 things. I'm definitely going to listen to that. I'm very excited about that because I do love those kind of old Japanese monster movies. So that's right up my alley. And I also did think of something that I want to say that's pretty exciting. I finally, because, this move with my mother-in-law, we knew it was coming up, and it's really been taking a lot of my bandwidth outside of the podcast. But now that she's here, I have scheduled my next guest for dinner for her. It's not going to be in March.
Yay!
My friend Amber, we're going to do, well, I'm going to keep it a surprise. I won't tell you, but we have an awesome woman from history that we've got all picked out. We're very, very excited about having our dinner. I'll give you a tiny little hint for anybody out there that's a fan of classic literature. We are planning to have excellent boiled potatoes at this dinner, and that's all I'll say. So be looking for that in April.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Me
It'd be
too.
good to hear your podcast back on.
Yeah, the break has been needed because I won't say it's been nice because I've missed it, but it's just I had to let go of having like a deadline because there's just a lot, I don't know who am I telling? As you know, life is just very freaking busy right now, and it's just I had to give myself some space. But now I'm renewed, I'm reinvigorated, and I'm just super, super excited about getting back at it.
Yeah. A big thank you to Mark and Pirate Core Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Pirate Core website. You can find it on our Facebook page, and there you can find our podcast as well as other podcasts like Mandy just mentioned, Her Dinner for Her, Panels to Pixels podcast, a Journal and Cinema podcast, and other projects Mark is working on.
Well, guys, that wraps up one more episode, our coverage of episode 9 of season 2 of The Pit. We're going to be back next week to cover episode 10, titled shockingly 4 p.m.
What?
I know, didn't see that coming.
Wow, they switched it up.
In the meantime, continue to keep an eye out for some great interviews from the cast. Man, guys, Becky is a saint. You guys just don't know how much time she devotes to this series outside of everything else that she's got going on in life. These cast interviews, they're amazing. I really hope that you're enjoying them because it's a labor of love and we're having a great time with it, but it's also a lot of work getting those things edited.
It is. So just bear with me. I am busting my hump to get episodes out before the new episode comes out and then get these interviews edited and get them released. So bear with me, but all will be out and released in good time. And I promise every single one of these are going to be worth it.
Yeah. Once the season is over, we're going to slowly re-release through our Facebook page and Instagram links to all of these.
Them.
Yeah, because I think that'd be a good time while we're waiting for the next season for you guys to enjoy some content. So if you haven't listened, that will be a good time for you to do that.
Yeah. And we do thank everyone for listening. And we'll leave you with a quote from Michael J. Fox. One's dignity may be assaulted, vandalized, and cruelly mocked, but it can never be taken away unless it's surrendered. I'm Becky.
I'm Mandy, and that was deep.
Yeah. I think dignity's been a big thing this season, so I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, we'll catch y'all next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye!